Bati-Bati Book Club.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, those who lie betwixt or outside, to yet another episode of the Bati-Bati Book Club. I am your host, the Dustin Rhodes of Ghost and Hose, Squill, joined as always by my faithful companion, Walk. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, Daddy. I'm ready for some Dustin Rhodes, that natural baby. He's the classic boy. He can hit the lariat crazy style. I'm ready. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
All right, let's get this done. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. As an update to the channel, my computer is working for now. I have to save up for a part that'll be a permanent fix. But videos will upload as normal, probably.
He kind of has this setup where he has a Frankenstein's monster thing where he strapped his computer to like the top of his roof. And it got struck by lightning, and now it works now. So
Yep, that's exactly it.
It hates humanity now, so we kind of got to be worried about that. But hey, YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may produce YouTube videos and or death of humanity.
Honestly, what good computer doesn't want the death of humanity?
Probably most of them.
Yeah.
So today we are, of course, covering Dustin Rhodes, probably the most underrated member of the Rhodes family.
Yeah, he really is.
Cody's correctly rated, and Dusty probably slightly over because they've seen his promos but haven't seen him wrestle.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, he wasn't exceptional in ring.
I mean, I've watched a couple like old WrestleManias, and I've seen him in the polka dot fit, which is not peak Dustin or Dusty. But he was fine. He did the funny elbow. He did the gyrating hips.
I've watched a few of his Ric Flair matches, and it's just, I don't know. It feels like you could replace him with just about any babyface from the time period.
Sure.
And it would just still be a Ric Flair match.
Yeah. Well, he's not bad.
No, not at all.
It's just both of his sons outpace him by a country mile.
Exactly. And the first son, of course, is Dustin, who, because of Goldust, sort of destroyed the view of how he's seen in wrestling.
I'm going to be so sad when we get to the Goldust match.
Yeah, because as we're going to get to, he was a fucking awesome babyface in early WCW.
So cool.
And then he just got his entire end of his prime to later years of his career just annihilated by the fact that they gave him the Goldust gimmick.
Which, I mean, not to victim blame, but he doesn't do himself he puts his whole effort into being Goldust. Which, I mean, if it was given to another talent, I'm sure they would put zero effort into it, and just let it die. But he really rides the wave to make it work.
It's very strange. It's just the right amount of substance abuse that he went along with it instead of just collapsing.
The wrong amount of substance abuse is Black Rain.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What if Goldust was more sad?
Or Seven, where he steals children.
I thought about doing the intro where I tried to do Seven, but honestly, I couldn't be fucked to look up Seven. I've only seen, I think I saw an edit where it was Seven, but it had Enter Sandman playing in the background. I don't know where I found that.
That you may have just imagined that also.
I think I did, because the Enter Sandman music video is really similar to the Seven debut.
I'm starting to think there may have been some parallel thinking going on with that.
Yeah, instead of James Hetfield trying to steal children, it's Dustin Rhodes.
What was your experience with Dustin before we had this viewing? Was it just AEW?
It was. I knew who Gold Dust was. I watched a couple of Gold Dust promos and was laughing at when he went ooh 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 ooh. And then I became a regular watcher of AEW, and then I thought he was cool. He was a cool old man. He did the punch. I didn't have
He
many big opinions on him, but he did the punch and
did
he was cool.
did do the punch.
He does do the punch. I'll talk about Dustin's modern day stuff later on in the episode.
Yes. So for our first match, we chose one from WCW from 1992
Peak.
versus the ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, what an underrated talent, by the way.
Yeah, he is one of those guys who suffers from you've just coined the term Mighty Mouse syndrome to describe someone who is a big fish in a small pond. And in this case, we're talking about talent wise.
Yeah.
So he's from a time period in which his work rate was so much higher than the vast majority of the people around him.
Yes.
So Rick Rude doesn't have as many amazing matches, but it's not necessarily his fault. It's
No.
more that he's facing like, some big southern guy who moves really slow.
Or Ultimate Warrior.
Or Ultimate Warrior.
Ugh. Those matches. I mean, he manages to pull something fine out of it. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah. He has a match with Masahiro Chono from the same year.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, he was in a G1 Climax.
Of course he was. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't he be?
So
As you said,
Inoki took one look at him and was like, hell yeah.
I like your hip thrust, kid. Yeah, let's get to the match, shall we?
Yes, this is in WCW Worldwide as the final of the WCW Nintendo Top 10 Challenge Tournament.
Oh, the Super Nintendo Top 10 Challenge, a classic.
Yeah, it's held yearly, round robin tournament.
It's a classic.
We all mark our calendars for it.
Yeah, it's like the G1 but for gamers.
Yes, it is G1. It is the blockbuster to the G1's Netflix.
Really, it looks like a fucking blockbuster tournament too. I love early WCW.
Oh yeah, back when it was pure.
Back when it had a heart and not a Hulk.
Yeah.
But we start off with old Ricky Rude giving a big peck on the cheek to the camera. And then he does the Rick Rude shtick where he says, cut my music, I'm sexy, take off my robe." Then takes off the robe. Rick is very good at getting crowd heat for being hot.
Oh yeah.
Very
not
funny.
being disgusting looking.
For sure. But he always has these really fucked up tights.
Yeah.
I love them, but they are really funny. Speaking of which, WCW magazine appears.
Yes, it does. In the beginning of the match. The match begins.
It starts, and then they show Sting's mug just smiling at me. And then it opens up to a centerfold of Rick Rude showing off his sweet tights. Really funny. Just to throw in at the start of our match.
Thankfully, nothing of note happens.
Mhm.
While it's superimposed, you can hear the canvas, like them like shuffling on it. So I assume they're just circling each other.
Yeah, that seems about right. The first real action that happens in this match is a very solid hammerlock exchange where Rick locks in the hammerlock and holds it in on Dustin, which leads to a great counter from Dustin. And I really love Dustin's limb work in these matches.
This is one of, if not maybe the coolest hammerlock sequences I've ever seen.
It's sweet.
You don't see stuff like that, and there's really a sense of pressure that because normally when a hammerlock feels kind of weightless, no one really cranks it these days. They just
For
sort of
sure.
go like arm wringer, hammerlock, headlock. Like they just have a set progression. But he just really sits in it for a while.
And how Dustin applies pressure is by just ramming his knees into the hammerlock, just
Which it
slamming them right in.
just makes sense.
It's
The the face alignment of Dustin is something we're going to be constantly talking about through this match and the next one.
He has a
It,
very brute force way of doing most situations, which is very honest
Mhm.
and is part of why I like him as a babyface. Uh, yeah, he's very full forward, strong. He just keeps on fighting. He's that kind of babyface, and I love it.
It's quite interesting because he doesn't do babyface things.
No,
He's not playing to the crowd. He's not like
closest thing he
smiling even.
no, he has this. I think in every single one of these matches, he has this face of like, I am going to kill my opponent. Uh, it's like this dead, cold look, which sometimes shifts. He does a little bit of crowd work in this match where he does like the hip gyrating to mock Rick Rude, which I think is more for him, just to
For
insult
his
his opponent.
for his facial expression, it reminds me. This is a quote about President Ulysses S. Grant. Grant habitually wears an expression as if he had determined to drive his head through a brick wall and was about to do it. That's what Dustin Rhodes is.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's that's exactly right. Um, a part of the reason that he's appealing as a babyface, at least to me, is that he kind of has the same energy as like an old school like Cowboy.
Mhm.
Think your Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns. Just a frontier justice way of thinking of babyfacedom.
Is that just
Like
because he squints a lot?
it helps. Uh,
He
but
has very narrow eyes.
he does have very narrow eyes. I didn't really think about that. He is squinting a lot. Uh, but he in if there's like a manager at ringside, he will often also target them as if they were a wrestler in the match, which is against the rules, but I don't think Dustin particularly cares as
Well,
long
is
as
it
he's
you
dispensing
can
his good guy stuff.
can't you hit anyone ringside that's like not the ref?
I Again, this
'Cause they
is
can't
talking
they
about
can't
pro wrestling rules, which is Calvin Ball.
because I was under the impression that the manager can't touch you, but you can touch them.
I Again, Calvin Ball rules. Sure. I think that's right.
Yeah. I don't think
I
it's a DQ to beat up like when someone like throws Stokely through like a
This
table
is
or something,
true.
they don't get DQ'd.
This is true. All right. Um,
In
but
this case,
yeah,
Medusa is
Med-
managing Rick Rude.
Medusa is, and she was the one who stripped down old Rick. Uh,
Mhm.
well, she has a very funny moment at the start of this match, or near the end. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Mhm.
Hammerlock sequence. Dustin has this really awesome lariat that he
Yeah.
does. Uh, not not the one that you're thinking of, which is his catapult lariat.
Mhm.
I'm referring to this lariat he does out of the corner, where he kind of like pumps out his arm and then goes full tilt into the lariat. It looks really sweet. Uh, Great silhouette as well. Uh, the way I could describe it is like the Michael Jordan logo, but he's doing a lariat instead of hooping.
Yeah, he sort of just hangs it out there and just lets it hit you.
It's so sick.
Like there's no like when like Hanson throws a lariat, he's like swinging that motherfucker. But
Hmm.
Dustin just lets it like sort of fall behind him.
Yes, it's great. It looks so sick. Um, Dustin, after hitting that mean lariat, begins to do his sweet hip gyrating taunt.
And it's lovely. The crowd are so behind him at this point.
He is so over. It's unbelievable. I think this is before the War Games.
I will fact check that right now.
I think this is before because I remember them talking about not
You
Dustin
were
not
correct.
being
It is 16 days before War Games.
okay. So that is before.
Mhm.
Um,
Just barely.
just barely. But yeah, they do mention how the Dangerous Alliance. He's not intimidated by them because I don't think Dustin's intimidated by much.
And I will note we will not be covering the War Games because as much as it
Sorry,
is an amazing match,
I
and
watched it
Dustin is amazing in it. It feels like cheating to call that a Dustin Rhodes match.
because who
Rick
all
Rude,
is it?
Steve Austin, Barry Windham, Nikita Koloff, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, and Larry Zbyszko.
And also we have Polly dangerously
Mm-hmm.
being Polly, just Medusa. Everybody is a fucking perfect match, man. That is so
Yeah.
good, and everyone is doing a great job. It's hard to do like multi-man tags to say that it is a individuals match, so we're probably not going to touch on a lot of War Games matches.
Yeah, like we're not going to cover Eddie Kingston, but if we were, Anarchy in the Arena would be one of the matches. So
Sure.
if they just particularly take over, but Dustin really just gets like in the beginning of that War Games, he just goes wild.
He goes crazy. He beats the shit out of Dog with Stone Cold. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, stunning.
And this TV match is a perfect way to set that up, considering Rick Rude will be opposite him in that War Games match.
Yes, it's awesome. It's a good way to start it off, and it's the classic Super Nintendo Top 10 challenge, brother.
Which I
Hey, high
really
stakes.
need to know how that came about, truly.
Um, it kind of has the same vibe as like when AEW does a uh base jam 5-10 man tag,
Yeah,
the team AEW versus the Goons or whatever
yeah,
that was. Uh, but yeah, good stuff. Um, Jesse Ventura's on the mic.
yes.
Uh, he is doing some classic heel being in the mic booth with Tony, where he belittles
Mhm.
him, calling him not sexy. I think he's saying something like he doesn't have a body quite like Rick Rude.
Which is true.
This is true. We love Tony Schiavone in this household, but he does not have the Rick Rude body.
Very few do.
Very few do. But there is a great moment. So there's this thing that young Dustin does where he does a balls drop on his opponents.
Mhm.
Not in the Gold Dust way, in just a offense balls thing.
Yeah,
Um, he just kind of does it, and Rick Rude's counter to it is just pulling up his knees, and Dustin just gets hit balls first on his
it's
knees.
pretty awesome.
It's pretty sick, and my favorite thing is commentary. They are like, does that count as a low blow? And Jesse
Yeah,
Ventura is just like, he's doing his balls as an offensive move. It's
yeah.
his fault, which, I mean, based, I guess, Jesse.
Well, honestly, I have to agree with that. It's
No,
like
for sure.
if someone's doing like a flying move at you and you get your knees up, like that's fine. It's their
Yeah,
fault for not
yeah.
seeing the counter. So that's like the least heelish thing Rick Rude does in this match.
Literally, it's his least heelish low blow in this match.
Yeah, because he's gonna go for an actual one later because he's Rick Rude.
It's so good. Love that man. Um, let's see. Then they go into a bulldog choke sequence.
One
Rick.
of Dustin consistently has amazing bulldogs. The bulldog normally looks like a shit move because
Mhm.
the guy just kind of like clearly just falls into it, but he like really tugs on their neck.
He does this the way that he does it is that he like puts all of his weight down onto the neck, and it kind of looks like he's like spiking their head into the ground. It's sick.
Which ironically probably puts like he's landing with all of his force, but it's on his arm, so
Mhm.
it might feel a little bad on your throat, but it's still pretty safe.
For sure, and it looks awesome. It looks like he's killing dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a couple of those sweet, sweet bulldogs, Rick Rude puts Dustin into a bulldog choke, where he does the classic "I am flexing my biceps. That must mean it's hurting him, brother."
And you know
And
what? When you have a body cut like Rick Rude, it does look like it hurts him.
it's very convincing, and Rick Rude does a damn good job doing some great facial selling, or not selling, but facial selling the move, making it look good. Uh, Great scrunched up expressions, great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a moment where Rick Rude is throwing out a quick clothesline on Dustin, and Dustin hits like a crazy ass Rikishi cell for this like
Yeah,
the weakest
it's
clothesline
wild.
I've ever seen. Like he just does crazy. I don't know how this man does it. It looks like he's
Dustin
so effortless.
Dustin is all limbs, as we talked about while we were
Yes.
watching this.
Yeah.
So when he just sort of flails around, it looks so chaotic.
It's so good. So damn good.
And he is
Um
really fucking tall, by the way.
he's a tall bastard. I forget
Like,
who he's
it's,
standing next to, but he looks like a freak.
well, it was when we pointed out in the next match versus Vader that he's taller than Vader.
Yes. Imagine big manning Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Um a thing I noted during my rewatch is that this match feels like it's way more important than it actually is. Like even
Yeah,
just
it's a. I mean, this tournament means nothing. I
what?
think the winner got a title shot.
Which
Um,
is crazy because as noted by Jesse Ventura on commentary, is that Rick Rude was already number one
yeah,
for contending. So this really doesn't matter. In fact, Rick has more to lose than Dustin.
and
Which is
additionally,
funny.
the like they got to get a title shot, but like you said, he's already there. Almost all of the participants were going to be in war games as well, so they're going to be fucked up because the participants in the tournament are Rick Rude, Terry Taylor, Dustin Rhodes. So those two are in the War Games. Larry
Hmm.
Zbyszko in the War Games
Yep.
match. Ricky Steamboat in the War
Yep.
Games match. Cactus Jack, Big Van Vader, Nikita Koloff in the War Games match.
Yeah.
Ron Simmons and Steve Austin in the War Games match.
What? Who? This is truly is the Super Nintendo Top 10 Challenge, brother. This
And
is a
they're gonna be not they've just gone through a tournament, then they go through war games, and now you get the title once your body is just totaled.
ju- hey man, whatever. I mean, it's cool. I like seeing these guys wrestle. It
Yeah,
doesn't make any logical sense, but it's sweet.
really doesn't. I will note I'm
Um,
checking the champ at the time was Sting.
Sting. Yeah, everybody would be fucked up
Oh
except
yeah,
for
that's I guess it's sort of fair then.
I guess. But why would you have a bunch of injured athletes? Doesn't matter. It does not matter. Um, but Dustin gets his offense back on for this match. Beats the shit out of Dog, and Rick Rude does a Daniel Garcia taunt walk
Mm-hmm.
into the corner. He even hits the arms. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Truly ahead of his time, Rick Rude. Uh, and Rick Rude is trying to go for like this pile driver, but Dustin is able to reverse it and hits the meanest tombstone I've seen up there with the one done to Coco Beware. Just it looks safe, but it looks like
Yeah.
he's spiking him directly on the top of his head.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if like he touched it there like with some force, but thankfully he looks fine.
Yeah. Um Rick has some time to relax as Medusa drags out Dustin to the road. And Medusa does some solid kicks, but Dustin is not selling for her at all. She is
Absolutely not.
This is not a Genichiro Tenryu versus Macho Man, where what the hell's her name? Mean Cherry something?
Sensational Sherry.
Excuse me, Sensational Cherry. Where Tenryu is selling his life out for Sherry of all people. But not Medusa. Then a Jawbreaker comes out, which is a move you do not see outside of WWE 2K for a reversal.
Yeah.
It's fun to see. Love to see like old school match, little old school moves come out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Catapult Lariat comes out, which is so the way that Dustin does it is that he like bounces off the ropes and then he like hops up in the air to where he kind of looks like he's in a uh like a canoe, and then he's like doing the lariat like in midair. It looks sweet. I'm not doing it justice. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's like he's about to do like a leg drop, and he just happens to trail his arm behind him.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's sweet. I love it. Then they have a TV ass finish where I think Sherry spits water. I forget how
Medusa.
Medusa. Oh, Rick Rude hits Dustin with the title.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, and Tony Schiavone does his whole "that damn bastard." Just wait till War Games.
And it is an incredibly satisfying, like 12-minute match.
It feels like so much more than it is. It is a TV match.
Not even for the title.
Yeah. This is for a qualifier. God damn.
Yeah, this is for to get a vengeful title shot. Just to basically job the Sting en route to Sting losing the title to Big Van Vader at American Bash 92.
In the goddamn Super Nintendo Top 10 Challenge, this match feels like so much more than it is. Great work, boys. Thumbs up. Good
and
shit.
You know they tried way harder than they should have, because the co-main event of this, according to Cage Match, is the Diamond Stud defeating question mark.
What?
That means they couldn't even identify who it was that Scott Hall squashed.
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. Ugh. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Dustin Rhodes versus the Big Van Vader.
This is the very short window in which Vader was good in the U.S. It's not Vader's fault, obviously.
Of course not.
But they let him cook this year versus Sting, and all was well and everybody was happy.
God bless.
But he hasn't hit his full power quite yet, at least in my opinion. That's when he goes back to Japan.
And then he becomes the king of all Japan.
King of all Japan, and also, faces Nobuhiko Takada.
Mm-hmm. All good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But this is still a very good Sting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
mean
sure.
Vader?
Vader. I was thinking about him beating.
It
Sting
is a good
for the
Sting
title.
too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure Sting is good.
Yeah, Sting is great. I'm glad we could get our opinions on Sting out.
Well, he's weirdly tangential to this whole both these WCW matches.
He really is. He's kind of built I mean, of course you're going to do that with your ace guy, but he is kind of built around most shit in the company at this time.
And he is in the. I want to point out. I pointed this out when we were watching this. This is the third to last match on this card, and the main event is Dave Sullivan, Hulk Hogan, and Sting with Jimmy Hart versus Avalanche, Kevin Sullivan, and the Butcher. Special referee Mr. T.
I fucking hate Eric Bischoff.
And the co-main event, also before this, is Jim Duggan defending the WCW United States Heavyweight title, defeating Steve Austin by DQ. Both of those were considered more important than this match.
Ugh. Makes me want to hurl. Makes me fucking sick.
And
Get
I
me
don't
out
know.
of here.
I don't know how much I'll be able to elaborate on this one because of the fact that they just fucking throw hands. Like the actual amount of moves that is done is not a lot.
The majority are done near the end and in the middle where Dustin is throwing out his bulldogs and stuff like that. There's a lot of punching in this match. I have to agree. This is one of those legendary boxing pro wrestling matches.
But not one of the shit ones, like it happened a lot in the 2010s indie scene. Because it's mostly because Dustin and Vader are actually hitting each other.
They are beating the shit out of Dog. Like, so everybody, I'm sure everybody that's, well, maybe not everybody that's watching this podcast has seen at least a Vader match.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would hope so.
I watch Vader. Vader has his most of his moveset is just clubbing the shit out of people. And most of this match is shoving Dustin into the locker room, aka the corner, and just beating the shit out of Dog, clubbing the piss out of him. The way that they're called out is that he's using forearm strikes, which is fairly accurate. They're like sometimes they become punches, but they're mostly just slamming his big meaty arms into Dustin until he stops moving.
It kind of reminds me of in a BKFC bare knuckle boxing promotion. You're not technically supposed to throw elbows, but everybody throws elbows because they're like, "Well, I was going for a hook and it stopped short, and it just happened that my elbow clipped his jaw."
Bare knuckle FC. What a funny the promotion where Mike Perry's the ace.
You know, the land, you know, of grace and goodness.
God bless. But Vader is very animalistic in this match. More so than usual, but he's making these like orc noises. Like whenever the camera gets close, it's like these deep, like orcish, like breathing noises. You can hear Harley Race in the background just constantly shouting, making Harley Race noises. It's awesome.
Harley Race is pretty fun in this.
He is very fun. He's doing the classic like heel manager that is controlling a monster bit. But he's doing like these like old man like evil mad scientist noises. Cackling.
He's really embracing of him like being like, because Harley Race is a big man, but compared to Vader, he looks much smaller. So he's just being like a goblin, just kind of cackling.
Yeah, he's just like this. Yeah, he's just this meat wad that's laughing all the time. It's great. A whole bunch of stiff punches happen. I love to see the influence of French catch in Dustin Rhodes' moveset, where he does this crazy ass crossbody standing style. It's sweet.
Yeah, he has some really good crossbodies. He doesn't normally bring them out, but when he does, they look good.
But before that even happens, Dustin does this awesome sequence where he just blasts double legs Vader, and Vader, whenever he hits on his back, looks like a turtle just flipped on his shell, and he just beats the piss out of him, balls dropping.
It's literally just grounded pound.
It's awesome. It's so sick.
It's so abrupt as well.
It's so good. Then Dustin hits an insane suplex, by the way.
Oh yeah, watching him manhandle Vader is so impressive.
It's weirdly Vader gets big. There's the thing with Dustin matches is that he always ends up big brothering a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the epitome of the big brothering. It's awesome.
And we were talking about Mick Foley's book when we were watching this, and he's talking about Vader. And there's like an unspoken agreement you enter with Vader where he will sell the shit out of your offense as long as you agree to sell yours.
Yep.
And so like because he's going to come out here and club Dustin in the internal Vader justice, he will just let Dustin punch him over and over again.
And that's what's great about Vader matches is that you're gonna get something at least a little stiff, and it's gonna be great.
And it is very nice because a lot of big guys at the time were not willing to do business like that, especially in the States.
For sure. Not a lot of dudes wanted to stooge. And you gotta have big guys have to stooge.
Mm-hmm.
Your Akira Tawe's of the world and such.
Or else, what are we really doing?
For sure, if you're gonna be a big mean guy, you have to look like a little bitch sometimes.
Now, I was say, are you going to get to the cutoff here?
What do you mean?
The cutoff when the baby face gets Shine gets cut off.
Am I losing my mind?
Have you ever heard that term?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's in match structure. Sort of the darkest for the dawn part before the climax of the match.
Oh, where he starts hulking up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get to it. I have a little more.
Oh, okay.
A little more
Gotcha.
going on. Impressive power slam by Dustin onto Vader.
Mhm.
I love whenever Dustin is in trouble and is getting beat up by the heel. He'll like blindly throw punches in the air. Good way of showing that he's always in the fight.
Mhm.
And then there's a Takeshi Morishima spot with
Yes.
Vader.
Yes, there is.
It's really cool to see something that early. And then yeah. So Dustin has an interesting way of hulking up.
Yes.
So as we'd mentioned before, Dustin is mostly limbs. So the way he hulks up is that he flails about a little bit, and like he'll like throw up his arm and just club it onto the mat, and it's so cool. And he
It
still has
genuinely looks like he's going crazy.
he looks insane. He looks wild. He looks like he's about to go crazy bones. Uh, just mean. Just he feels like he's going crazy. It's so cool.
Ironically, for a later match, it's almost Randy Orton-esque.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he powers up and hits Vader with. I think he hits him with a lariat, and then Vader returns with the stiffest lariat I've ever seen.
Yeah, he fucking
Where
dies.
he just slams Dustin into it and just like completely cuts down like his momentum. A great way that Vader counters like faster opponents is that he'll do like this like clubbing clap. I've noticed.
He did that to Sting a ton if you've seen their matches.
I haven't actually. I need to get to that. I love me some Vader, and I love me some Sting. But he does these great claps that counter all sort of like momentum, and it looks sweet, and it really fits the character. Love it.
Yeah, everything's brute force with him. So there's these big open-handed, like one of the on the Sweet Chinwag episode, one of them I was on, they described Vader as fighting like a bear fights.
Yes, and funny thing, they actually on commentary call Vader being like a bear. Uh, I think it's whoever isn't Tony Schiavone on mic.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's doing heel commentary, mentions that he's very bear-esque, and that's a great call. He's very much a wild animal. And then after beating Dustin half to death, Vader has these like
It's Bobby
Vader
Heenan, by the way.
Bobby Heenan. Okay. Uh, he's beating the piss out of him in the corner. He hits a couple Vader bombs, and my favorite thing about Vader is that he has like these tantrums with refs.
Yes.
And especially here where Dustin kicks out and Vader like rips up the ref and says, "What are you doing? Do your job." And then he does another Vader bomb. Dustin kicks out and then he grabs the ref again, yelling at him. And then eventually Harley Race just jumps up onto the mat to distract him. And Dustin very much gets he does his thing where he like attacks the manager before he attacks the wrestler, which is always fun to see.
And he
Not in
looks,
like a dumb way.
yeah, he looks super smart throughout this.
Mm-hmm. He's handling Vader very well. He isn't like overexerting too much. He's very touchy, I should
Well,
say.
well, I'm saying when he goes after Harley Race, it's not one of those things where they go after the manager and then get blindsided. He makes sure that the two are separated, so that he can go attack Harley Race.
For sure. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And he doesn't get jumped immediately after he's done.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the ending sequence, he does get jumped. But in a very Vader way, where he just kind of runs directly into Dustin and Harley, and does a mean Alabama slam. I think
I guess I'm saying Vader can only jump you as much as Vader can because he's not subtle. He doesn't sneak attack you.
No, he's a giant murder meatball.
Yeah, you see him coming.
You definitely hear him too. Yeah. Sweet Alabama slam, 1, 2, 3. Very fun match.
Yeah.
Is this
Once
on a
again, wait.
pay-per-view?
This is on Clash of the Champions.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is a TV show.
Okay. Again, a great TV match then.
Yeah, on once again the third to last match on a bad episode of television.
Yes. Just yeah, completely smokes whatever Jimmy Hart, Hulk Hogan, Mr. T ref, the Avalanche bullshit is going on in the main event. Truly saddening what happens to my WCW.
They had all the cool Southern wrestlers, and then nothing.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
But yeah, that's Vader versus Dustin. A great, stiff, almost exclusively striking match. Dustin does all of his cool shit. Awesome cowboy dude. Yeah, cowboy shit.
And so now we're going to go forward in time into the Gold Dust era for a rare non Gold Dust match that doesn't make me sad. He is facing Randy Orton on an episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the fourth to last match on the card. The main event is a dark match between, or I guess dark match afterwards, which is a 2-on-1 handicap, Punk versus Axel and Paul Heyman. The actual main event is Daniel Bryan defeating Dean Ambrose, so probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And the other one is Rob Van Dam defeating Ryback by DQ. So this is yet another example of a match that's way better than this TV show deserves.
Man, I agree. There's great wrestling, but this one just makes me sad as well. Every Gold Dust work makes me just a little sad. I'm not sure how much you watched of like the pre-show stuff. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth after watching it. So
I was gonna say, are you gonna note the storyline here?
Yeah, I'll note the storyline. So Cody Rhodes had just bid his career at WWE, like as a stipulation in a match against Randy Orton, I think. I forget who it was. Cody loses. He'll never grace WWE's doorstep ever again.
Never ever.
Never. But wait, Gold Dust is willing to fight for the honor of Cody. And he hasn't wrestled in 3 years or something like that,
Yep.
but he's willing to fight for his brother. And he cuts a really goddamn good promo before the match. It would be almost so good if he didn't look like Golden Darth Maul.
Yeah.
There's so much of what makes Dustin cool gets really killed by Goldust. Like during these matches, where he's kind of wearing this really shitty. I'm sure everyone's seen Goldust, but especially this area where he kind of looks like Darth Maul's brother in the Clone Wars.
Yes. Savage Press.
The most evil name, right
Mm-hmm.
up there with Darth Maul. Yeah, it's really uncomfortable, and Renee brings up the fact that Cody was tweeting the whole time saying, "I do not endorse this match happening. This is not something I want." And completely out of a just genuinely not wanting that for his brother. But
Mm-hmm.
oh fuck me, and Dustin is talking about how he's the failure of the Rhodes family and he's a fuck up.
Which is interesting because Cody is arguably more of a fuck up at this point.
Yeah.
Not personally, he didn't have the same issues he did, but he wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. And then Triple H comes out in this big ass kingpin looking suit. And he walks in and says, "Man, it would be a shame if you lost this match. Wouldn't it suck to let down your family? Wouldn't that
You're
be terrible? Man, good luck out there." Just, ugh, just gross booking. I'll talk about it at the end of this match, but it's so uncomfortable because it feels like booking wise, they're trying to that like Vince is trying to punish Dustin for Cody leaving.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
and
just
Cody would be back briefly for the run as Stardust because this predates that.
it
Um,
does?
yeah.
Wow.
He comes back for like a year and it's even worse, so he leaves.
No. I thought it was because of Stardust he left. Well, it's because of Stardust he left, but I thought he left like once. Jesus.
No. Well, he leaves, he gets married, he cools out a bit, and then he comes back in what I can only assume is punishment for having the audacity to go get married and take some
Ugh.
time off. He goes and does
Yeah.
Stardust.
Oh my god. What a bad time to be a road. Aside from Dusty,
Mhm.
I guess.
He was working backstage at NXT at the time.
Yeah, something like that. Why isn't Dusty standing in for any of this?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good question.
why both of my kids are currently being jabronied out for your stupid dust gimmick, Vince. What are you doing? Ugh. Anyways, I guess then it would probably lead to Vince pointing at the polka dot suit and saying, "Don't make me have to do that to you again." Ugh.
A
But
punishment worse than death.
actually worse than death, making the whole Rhodes family look like a bunch of jabrones. Then Randy Orton comes out. He hits his sweet, and then he hits the seizure Tron, uh,
Mhm.
crazy style. With the worst belt design for the Universal Championship, I might add, because it's like the kind of Attitude Era WWE logo, like in the weird in between time.
It's not Universal, it's World Heavyweight.
Is it World Heavyweight at the time?
Sorry, WWE Heavyweight Champion.
Okay, which becomes the Universal, correct?
No.
No?
Well, I
All
mean
right.
now it's all one thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, the belt looks terrible, is my
Yes,
point.
it's
It
not
looks
good.
it looks really bad. Um then there's a Tron, then there's a graphic for Randy Orton versus Bryan Danielson, sponsored by O'Reilly. for Sunday. I guess that's happening. Jerry Lawler's a babyface commentator. This is a weird
Strange.
time for WWE. Um, then Goldust walks out and he does the Tony Storm gimmick where he like the camera changes. It's kind of like the Tony Storm gimmick, but non-consensually.
Yes, you're correct.
JBL is on commentary, which is pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
JBL sounds like he doesn't want to be there, like everybody else on commentary.
Yep.
And the
Michael
match
Cole doesn't even sound like he wants to be there.
no, and Michael Cole is like just happy to have a job at all times. Um, but yeah, the match starts off. Dustin is sitting in the corner. One of my favorite things about Dustin is how he starts off matches. Younger Dustin doesn't do this, but he kind of like sits in the corner. It's very menacing. It adds
Yeah,
to Dustin's aura.
it's as much aura as you can dressed like that. He goes for it.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Um, and then the match kicks off with Dustin big brothering Randy a bit.
It's
Uh,
awesome,
it's
especially this.
sweet.
I mean, I'm like 9 years old at this time. I don't think I saw this, but like Randy Orton is like the biggest heel in the universe at this point. You know?
He is the meanest bastard. He is a dastardly sumbitch. And he's telling I think there's one like during this era where Cody leaves, I think he like RKO's Dusty or something.
Yes.
He's just doing the most dastardly shit ever. It's so fun. Ugh.
And these two both move in very particular ways,
Mm-hmm.
and just as it starts, it's just sort of mesmerizing because they're like the snake like Randy Orton, like a viper waiting the strike. But that is true. Like that
Yeah,
is how he's moving. And then, like I said, that menacing aura, like you said, that Gold Dust is radiating is just immediately cool before they've even done anything.
for sure. And when they actually get to it, it's sweet because Dustin is wrestling like Dustin. He's doing chops, and they sound extra good when he has gloves on. I think he realizes that for his AEW run.
Mm-hmm.
And he
That's one of
keeps
the
the.
reasons I picked this match because it's the least Gold Dust match that he had is Gold Dust.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, I don't ever get to see the. What the hell's the balls kick maneuver? The
Shattered Dreams,
Shattered Dreams. I'm sad I don't get to see a Shattered Dreams ever.
very sad.
Because I think that would fit in with young Dustin's like move set. It's kind of that no nonsense bullshit.
Yeah, if he only pulled that out occasionally, it'd work for that
It'd
character.
be a super finisher. It'd be badass. Right up there with the burning hammer. Anyways, people have been doing "You Still Got It" chants since 2012 for Dustin.
Yes.
Like after a certain point, you have to admit this dude just has it. Like always.
Hmm.
I, I, I don't know. That always like makes me upset.
Yes, he has still had it consistently forever.
For sure. I think they go to the outside a little bit.
Mhm.
Randy mostly. He's like doing the classic heel shit where you take a break outside.
Random note about Randy Orton, but he does maybe like the smoothest like roll out of the ring during this time period.
For sure, because he's skinny enough.
Hmm.
This is definitely like peak Randy. Where he's just kind of like he epitomizes the character of the Viper.
Yeah.
Uh, then Randy comes back in, does some offense, and slams Dustin into the ropes, which I note that he does a great nose sell when he hits the ropes, making it look like he might have like broken his nose or something,
Oh
which I
yeah,
think
it's
is pretty
weird.
neat.
It's weird, but like in a good way. I mean.
Dustin is a very subtle performer. Uh, Aside from the obvious, where he's doing hip thrusts and stuff like that, but he's
Hmm.
very good at doing like little sells like that. Especially as he ages.
And he has to rely more and more on that since he can't flail around as good as he used to.
For sure. A thing I like about when he's Gold Dust, when he's doing like roll-ups, and he's doing a lot more roll-ups than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is pretty neat. It kind of adds more drama to the match, making it feel like it could end at any time. Uh, then then the Shattered Dreams gets set up, but Randy manages to slide out perfectly. Uh, JBL is, I guess, just being a dick on the mic the whole
Yeah.
time, which God love him.
Despite being the most likable man on the commentary team.
Somehow, JBL is the epitome of charisma. It's so weird hearing Jerry Lawler try to do like babyface commentary.
Yeah, given his entire life and other career.
Yeah, literally. Randy does some great selling. Randy also has incredible European uppercuts.
Oh yeah.
Just like I don't know who taught him that, but it's sweet. They're like up there with Claudio for me as great Euros.
Wonder if just Regal was just teaching people.
I'll bet.
You get a euro. You get a euro.
um, mean ring post slam. Where he's like throwing him off the apron. Just real nasty.
Oh yeah.
Um,
No finesse there.
none. It is gross. Um, and then when on a rewatch, I just kind of lose interest. I don't know what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but like part of me like knows how this match is ending,
Yeah.
and it makes me really sad. And I'm just like, ugh. And then I times two the rest of the match, sadly, because I just can't. The everything is just like I it's not good journalism, but I don't know. It just
Yeah,
makes me sad.
the situation around it's just I don't know. I guess it's something about like the um the resilience of Dustin Rhodes, right? That even in this like fucked situation, he gives this as much effort as he does.
Yeah, kind of. I get what you mean, but like after this match, uh the post like this is the final match on Raw. This is the main
Mm-hmm.
event. Uh Afterwards there's kind of a backstage segment which makes me double triple sad.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, Randy uh Randy is setting up for Sunday's match, doing the yes taunt. Pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
RKO Crossroads, which I think Dustin has a better Crossroads than Cody.
Yeah, I've always found it a little strange that it's Cody's finisher because there's way more moves in his moveset that look better.
Mm-hmm. Especially his cop killer.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. RKO, win. All right, that was a fine TV match, I guess. Compared
Yeah,
to the other TV matches I watched, this is a fine one.
yeah.
It's not really Randy's fault, and it's not really Dustin's fault. It's just generally the booking makes me sad.
R.I.P. Cody Rhodes' career. He would never go on to do anything of note in the WWE or elsewhere.
Yeah, something Cody Rhodes. Whoa. Um, and then after the match, Dustin is crying backstage, and then Stephanie McMahon walks up and says, "Wow, you really let down your family. You should feel bad. Doesn't it? You're such a loser. Don't you feel bad about yourself?" And Dustin's just crying. And this
Yeah,
isn't even like heel heat. This is
no,
like
he's
this is just Vince McMahon telling his daughter to bully Dustin Rhodes. It's terrible. It's horrible. I hate
it.
it.
Yeah,
It's not fun.
this is pretty bad PG era booking.
It's just and like I it just makes me sad, man. I
Mm-hmm.
I I have in my notes verbatim fuck this booking point blank period. I'm glad Vince McMahon isn't at WWE anymore.
For
God.
numerous
For
reasons. I will
numerous
note.
reasons, but especially his fucking booking. God damn.
Want to get to a match that doesn't make you sad?
Absolutely. I would love to talk about Cody Rhodes versus Dustin at Double or Nothing at AEW. This is some good shit right there.
Go ahead and watch if you haven't. What is it? Deeper Than Blood, the video essay by Joseph Montecillo on this match. If you have not already, but god damn, there is some blood and there is a deep amount of it.
Mm-hmm. And we are going to start off with the video package beforehand.
Which is awesome.
Great video package. Cody is a great heel.
I miss Little Cody.
I know you do, buddy. He's too busy being the most over baby face that WWE has had in a while. But he is a great heel. He has
Oh
this
yeah.
next level Venom for Dustin, where he's talking about how he's gonna kill the Attitude Era, and he's saying that what do you do with a horse when it's like breaks its leg? You shoot it in the head. It's like holy shit, dude.
Which is even more tragic considering Dustin Rhodes also would like to kill the Attitude Era.
Literally. Probably why he's okay with that belt that he wears, but we'll get to that. Dustin has after Cody manhandles him in the video. He wears he just goes full old school gunslinger. He's like walking around on a ranch. It's sweet. There's this country song that's playing in the background. MJF and Cody Rhodes, best friends for life. Started doing some grappling training. And then we actually cut to the arena. And I think the most subtle thing I've ever seen happens.
Oh yeah, there's no pointed commentary was being made.
Okay, so the Triple H throne comes out. And Brandy Rhodes and Cody Rhodes wearing, shockingly, he is the smacked ass of the night. Wearing a George Washington inspired walkout gear.
Yes.
And he walks down to the ring, and he picks up a sledgehammer, takes off the Washington gear, and charges towards the throne and smashes the Triple H throne.
Like I said, no pointed commentary being made.
None at all. God, Cody's a weird character in AEW, I mean. He's such a strange tweener. Is that what he
Yeah.
is? But he's
Well,
also doing babyface stuff?
He was incredibly over heel and incredibly over babyface until he wasn't on both counts.
It's just it's so weird because I don't
Yeah,
know how to feel about
'cause
him when I'm watching this match a little
yeah,
bit.
because he's well, on one hand, he's celebrating the fact that this is AEW's inaugural show.
Yeah,
But then, so he's doing the babyface thing, but it's like he still wants us to not like him.
I guess for this match, I don't know. It's weird. Grandma is hyped for Cody though.
Yes, yes,
She
she is.
is pumped this whole match. We'll note her a little bit later, but this match gets the West Side Gun seal of approval.
Yes, yes, it does.
He gets shown off a little bit. And then Dustin comes out, and he has this incredible timing while he's doing the walkout, where he like manages to pace it perfectly with his music. Absolutely goated. Great shit.
Perfect.
And Dustin looks great in this
Oh yeah.
match, like physique wise. Maybe better than he did when he was younger.
Yeah, he was just he's got a weird body.
He
It'd
does.
be really difficult for him to put on muscle, I think, just because he's sort of naturally lanky.
Hmm.
It's like a scaled up John Moxley.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He does look like that.
Like when Mox, either before he went to the WWE or after Mox quit alcohol, where he's just like kind of spindly.
I know what you mean. And then they stand. Everybody's in their corner, and to show who is the babyface and who is the heel, Cody decides to hit the Gunther stance.
That he does.
And Dustin is sitting in the corner trying to be the underdog, which he always is. And yeah, we start off, the bell rings, and Cody is doing his classic bicep taunt, which I really hope he brings back when he does his heel run in WWE.
I hope so too. It's just so
It's
the
such a
crowd
good taunt.
the crowd's having so much fun as well.
Yes, that's probably a good thing to note about like early AEW shows is that everybody's just having a good time.
They're just happy that this exists.
Yeah, it's great. And everybody's doing Dusty chants,
Mm-hmm.
really adding to the story being told. And then a fierce tie-up, which we didn't mention before, but Dustin has great tie-ups.
Oh yeah, he goes for it. It's a very much a hallmark of some of those throwback like Southern style wrestlers, but there's a real sense of struggle and not just that he immediately wants to transition to the next hold.
For sure. And the tie-up even gets a little sell by each of them, where they're like a little exhausted after doing it, and then they go back
Mhm.
into it. It's really cool.
Which is just a great like brotherly rivalry.
It looks great. And then after the tie-up, the second one, Cody breaks out of it and does a cartwheel, and then hits the Stardust taunt, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Mean style against him. And then Dustin, I think they lock up again. And then Dustin, by how he breaks out of it, is that he just tries to out-muscle Cody, which is not hard. But he manages to out-wrestle him. Not out-wrestle him, just out-muscle him and try to, like, throw him against the ropes. It's awesome, and, Cody falls to the ground. Actually, it was Dustin who falls to the ground, and then the friendliest tope I've ever seen happens.
Just a
Uh,
nice little suggestion.
yeah, I think Cody kinda looks like he's levitating above Dustin a little bit, and
It's
then,
possible that he's gained
Dustin
those powers.
after his Stardust gimmick, he developed the ability to levitate. Um, and then Dustin falls to the ground, uh, and then let's see, uh, we get a kind of like the way that I can best describe it is that after the tope, each guy gets up and they're all going to the mat, but Cody is like going like face first into it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Dustin does this kind of like kick-a-rooney where he just kicks him in the back of the head. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's like a white trash enziguri.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a good way of describing it. And then when Cody's on the ground, Dustin hits this awesome big man senton.
Yeah,
I
the
love
sense
me.
of yeah, you talk a lot about Chris Hero sentons. They're always very fun when you get that sort of motion.
They're fucking tasty. I love big dudes when they do sentons. They are good shit. And then Dustin hits his classic bulldog, and it looks awesome, as it always does.
And Cody sells it great.
Absolutely, Cody's a great seller. And he does a great sell later on in the match for his own move.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, great bulldog sell, where he does kind of like jumps up and like spikes his head a little bit, but it's obviously safe.
Yeah.
And then, uh, Old Man Dustin does these really cool like punch combos where it's very old school and it very much feels like he's doing a throwback to Dusty, where he's obviously like hitting the ground, hitting the mat to make it sound worse than it actually is. But it sounds great. It
Mhm.
looks great.
Yeah,
Uh,
unlike most of those old school like work stomp punches, it actually looks good.
mhm. It really looks like he's piecing him up. And then after the great punch combo, leading to Cody rolling out, and then he does outstanding heel shit. He's just chilling outside. He's getting drinks of water, which really emphasizes how small AEW's ring side is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost ROH levels of small. Early AEW, I should say.
Yeah.
They've definitely enhanced their size since then. And then let's see. Cody hits the meanest dragon screw I've ever seen him hit.
Yeah, it
Onto
is.
Dustin.
It looks almost like if you were to do a shoot dragon screw,
Yes.
he's getting close to it.
Yes. It's really mean limb work, especially on an older guy like Dustin.
Who is the gangly limb man that he is.
Literally. All legs McGee. Then a great power slam from Dustin that looks like he's just putting all of his weight slamming Cody into the ground, leading to a near fall.
Yeah, he has an insane amount of snap on his power slams.
Mm-hmm. It's tasty. I'm slowly developing a love for the power slam. Let's see here. Earl Hebner does a great job in this match. I guess I should say Earl Hebner is doing reffing.
Yeah.
And
AEW brought him in for a while in the early days.
mm-hmm. And Earl has these great callouts sounding like an angry dad
Mm-hmm.
during this match, trying to stop his boys from fighting.
It's very much like an MMA ref when the fighter's grabbing the cage or something and they're
For
chewing
sure.
him out with the warning.
Yep. That definitely that vibe. I like that descriptor.
There's a very old school thing like I was taught in wrestling school, which is don't bury the ref, and you'll see a lot of more old school refs like that because sometimes, especially in like modern TV booking, they will make the ref just look like a moron,
Yeah, for
with like
sure.
heel antics, but in whatever like I said, the term realism is sort of problematic in like current discourse amount in wrestling because it's hard to nail down what that means, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's shooty or just feeling like a real struggle. But it's more realistic in that like the ref isn't going like what.
One of my favorite matches of all time, Alexander Otsuka versus Mitsuhiro Matsunaga, sadly falls for that a little bit, but
Hmm.
it's obvious that dudes are trying to stop it, but that has to be like the blindest ref to
Yeah.
ever cross the mat. Um, Such obvious cheating. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, it's also just that in Japan, generally the refs are afraid of the wrestlers.
And who's gonna mess with Matsunaga with his vampire teeth and his sword?
Or Otsuka with his entire,
Bald,
mental illness.
big, bald, titty style fit.
Hmm.
We'll talk about him.
We'll talk about him.
But when Earl is doing these verbal callouts, Dustin is on the outside, and Brandy Rhodes hits what I describe as a no riz spear onto Dustin. It's not a bad spear. It's just not a very good one either.
Yeah, and
Um,
also it's like Brandy Rhodes is tiny.
mhm. Uh, but God bless Dustin. He sells it perfectly well. And then
He's a professional.
he's a professional, except for Medusa Brother. Uh, and then awesome Earl Hebner taunt where he does the get out of here. And then DDP comes out.
Always welcome, and just literally just picks her up.
Yeah, he Donkey Kongs her out of there. It's very good. I should note that Dustin he sets up for the Shattered Dreams. But Cody's counter to that is taking off the turnbuckle, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Makes Dustin think a bit. And then Dustin gets slammed into the turnbuckle, which leads to some great blading.
Yeah, and at first it's like mixing with the red face paint. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you should have chosen a different color face paint.
Like his
Um,
glue.
yeah, but regardless, it does look great because after a while, the
It doesn't
blood's
even
mixing
look.
with sweat and face paint, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no like his face is completely erased.
Yeah, he is a maybe the best Crimson Mask I've seen. Um, but I might need to watch a Muda match again.
Mm-hmm.
But great, great, great bleeding from Dustin. Uh, then Cody does this, what I describe as a sicko blood wipe onto his chest.
Yeah,
Back when sicko used to mean something.
back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days of like what, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then let's see. Uh, great sell from Dustin when he misses his lariat, where he just kind of tumbles on his ass. It looks
Yeah,
great.
that's it's also just like he's getting old, you know.
Mm-hmm. It looks awesome. It looks straight out of the book of a younger Dustin.
Mm-hmm. Just aged
Um,
up.
mhm. And then Excalibur does some weird like commentary for strikes in this match.
Yeah,
Um, we start off with the classic knuckle arrow from Cody. His classic move. Who could
the one we
forget?
all know and love.
Um, and then I note that Cody is a great and very fun facial actor.
Yeah,
Uh,
he has a v- he can emote so funnily.
he's he's not subtle. As much as the start is very subtle, um, he's not at all. Like the way that nothing have I seen from Cody has ever indicated that like there's an under I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. He's not very subtle. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, no matter
He's
what he's doing.
he's maximalist in terms of emotions.
He's kind of like Nick Cage in that way.
Yeah.
He's the Nicolas Cage of pro wrestling.
Yeah, oh,
Um,
that applies.
that yeah, I'll if it works. Um, and then forget who does it, but I type out in full JR font. Oh my God, the classic Seth Rollins curb stomp.
The curb
Uh,
stomp is a great move.
it's awesome. I wish Seth Rollins didn't gentrify it. Lack of a better word.
Mhm.
Um, and then
Well, it's
Dustin is a.
regularly one of the few moves that Seth does that does look good.
This is true. I wish he didn't make it look like it sucked.
Hmm.
Against his match with the Fiend.
Yeah.
That's a dumb match. We're not even gonna get into that match. I think that's the Red Lights match or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
There's some stinkers during the Fiend era. That's we love the Fiend. Don't get me wrong. He's sweet, but yeah, not the Fiend's fault.
Hot takes only on this podcast.
Only the hottest. Um, let's see. Foul bleeding from Dustin to the point where it's like very gloppy.
It's a great way
Um,
to describe it.
it's very gloppy. Uh, Then the most dangerous move in pro wrestling comes out. The classic flying double axe handle.
I love me an axe handle.
It's so pro wrestling. Only pro res, man. I've seen like
Just
one person do a very, very good one. It's Jumbo Saruta.
just the
Surprising.
logic that like two two fist better than one.
And together they make a great flying move where you stand up midair and
Fists go
slam the
grrr.
ah! Um and then Dustin hits a sweet power slam. Uh I love how Dustin kind of shifts his character midway through the match, where he kind of becomes like this blind giant. who is like hitting these super strong moves but can't see the whole time.
He's
And
very
is
much
just
going into survival mode
yes,
and just swinging.
and yeah, swinging and banging. Even the cameraman is shocked. He like audibly gasps and says, "Oh my god!" Like you can hear it on the mic, and it's awesome. And then Dustin hits a based atomic drop. Uh, Watching these matches made me realize that I don't actually mind the atomic drop, or at least the
No,
invert.
yeah, there are guys who do it very, very well.
Like it actually looks like a move, and not just you're hitting the dude in the balls. I don't know why that's not a low blow or counted as one.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence that he lands there.
Calvin Ball.
Calvin
Um,
Ball always.
it's there are no rules, and I must scream. Um, and then in the epitome of big brothering Cody, there's a sequence where Cody Rhodes takes off his weightlifting belt that he has, um, and is about to hit it onto Dustin, but I think the ref gets knocked or some way that allows
Yeah,
Dustin to just start. He pulls down Cody's ass,
yeah,
and then just starts hitting him with the
beating him.
belt. Um, uh, and then JR says something along the lines of the cheeks of wrath. It's sweet. It's very funny. Good comedy for this very intense match. Uh, and then Dustin hits a code red.
And it looks awesome, man.
It
Just
looks
watching it, his age, taking all that into consideration, it's so crisp.
not even a young Dustin is doing that shit. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think the code red was really invented yet. I'm sure it
Mhm.
was by a Joshi wrestler, but you know,
As all things are.
as all things are. Um, it looks great. It looks super sweet. Gets a quick little count, and then Excalibur starts trying to do striking commentary again as he mentions the shovel hook.
Which he has no idea what that means.
He has no clue. It kind of looks like you're digging when
He
Dustin was throwing the punch, I guess.
he could have at least called it the other name, shovel hook, which people would call it a Mexican uppercut.
And that's one word for it. Uh, he hits the shovel hook, and then Dustin hits this awesome crossroads. So the way that like Cody sells it, and I think also Chad Gable sells the crossroads like this as well, where
Mhm.
he like jumps up in the air and just spikes his forehead
Yeah,
while
that's a great
doing
way to
it.
describe it.
And it looks sweet. And Dustin, like throughout this whole match, is doing better crossroads than Cody.
As we said
Uh,
before, it is like not even top 3 of Cody's best looking moves.
right. Uh, I guess if we had to rank him, his Cody cutter looks 10 times better, and
Yeah.
he has the safest cop killer
Mhm.
of all
Yes.
time.
It looks very
Um,
friendly.
uh, the way it has to be, like the cameras really have to be working with Cody, because it looks like he's just like holding up the person like halfway through his back and then like sitting down. It
Yeah.
looks almost as deadly as a Hulk Hogan leg drop, but
Certain sections of the crowd got better views of that move than others.
like one half is just freaking out, and then the other side is just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, we'll get there. Um, Cody gets a little bit of a comeback. I then Dustin gets his comeback as well. I love how
Mhm.
Cody sells setting up for the crossroad for Dustin, where he like leans back into his shoulder, setting up for the crossroad. It looks sweet.
It looks very natural.
It very much does. Um, and then I think this is the first recorded history where a cop killer has ever been used against a cop.
There you go.
So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Cody. And then it wraps up. He hits a crossroads as a little fuck you to Dustin. 1, 2, 3. Great match, boys. It makes me feel a lot happier than
And of course, there's the goated post match promo as well.
I want to wrestle a match with my brother. Yeah, it's great. It's good stuff.
And if you didn't cry, you're not human.
I did cry at rewatching it. Yeah, great match. Great stuff. Thank
So
you.
overall, what are your thoughts upon not being? I mean, I kind of know what they are, but very little exposure to Dustin beforehand and now.
Dustin is one of the coolest wrestlers that never was given, like, aside from early WCW, his like early 90s run, he was never given the chance to be like a top like wrestler.
And part of it, I think, is the fact that they had Sting, and he and Sting both look similar
Mhm.
and are both like really good baby faces. And there's
Yeah,
only a spot for one.
for sure. Uh but he definitely deserved more. He did not deserve to become Gold Dust.
Yeah, there in another universe, he just does his normal gimmick in the Attitude Era and has like a death match with Cactus Jack or something.
It'd be sweet. And he's having like a rivalry with like Stone Cold where
Hell,
they're basically the same.
he'd have a great brawl with Triple H with just his regular gimmick.
For sure, but instead Triple H brawls him backstage and forces him to be Gold Dust, brother.
Well, to be fair, I think that was Vince.
It was all Vince. I'm just really sad about the promo before Randy Orton match. Man, what could have been?
I take it then that you recommend Dustin Rhodes?
Of course I recommend Dustin Rhodes, man. Like everything aside from Gold Dust stuff, like he's great. He's awesome. He's doing good shit.
You have anything else you want to add on him before we wrap it up?
Um, not really. He's awesome. Check him out. Definitely recommend his early 90s stuff. A match we didn't talk about was his match against Bunkhouse Bill. Great match. It's noted in the Way of the Blade book. Super recommend that book as well. Uh, good stuff. Good stuff from old Dustin.
All right. Until next time, this has been Bati-Bati Book Club.
For
Bye.
life.